بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه الغر الميامين والحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب والحمد لله الذي هدانا فلولا الله فلا كنا من المهتدين. أما بعد، يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. Please recite aloud salawat for our Imam Hassan Al-Mujtaba. Imam Al-Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib is one of the most forgotten about Islamic figures of all time, especially within the followers of Ahlul Bayt. We generally know nothing about Imam Al-Hassan, but when it comes to his younger brother Imam Al-Hussein, we know a lot about him. If I was to ask you about Imam Al-Hussein, you'll be able to tell me where he was martyred, how he died, where he died, when he died. But when it comes to his older brother, we know nothing about him. And this is very sad and very disappointing. Don't get me wrong, what we know about Imam Al-Hussein and the rituals that we do every year, in the days of Ashura, about the events that happen in Karbala, is something very beautiful of us and something that we should be very proud of. And it's something that we should carry on to the next generation. But why it is sad and disappointing is that Imam Al-Hussein, he's our Imam. He is our third Imam. Imam Al-Hussein's only Imam was who? Was Imam Al-Hassan alayhi salam. Imam Al-Hussein used to look up to Imam Al-Hassan. He was his leader, his guider, his role model, his mentor was who? Was Imam Al-Hassan alayhi salam. But unfortunately we know nothing about him, and inshallah throughout this lecture tonight we will grab a better insight and more information about our holy second Imam, so we know more about him. So when does the importance of our holy Imam begin? His importance is shown to the Muslims right after his birth. The Imam, his father was who? Was Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And his mother was who? Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. And you have Imam Ali, he's the best of creations after Rasulullah. And Fatima al-Zahra, one of the best females to ever live. And from them they had one of the most beautiful marriages. And the first born child came. And Fatima al-Zahra is the daughter of who? The daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this was his first grandchild as well. So when the Imam was born, Rasulullah was away. He was away on a trip. He had something to do. So when he came back, he got the news that his daughter Fatima had just given birth. So he was very excited. He was happy. He went rushing to the house of Fatima, and he entered the house. And he saw Imam Ali holding the baby boy. So he said, "Ya Ali, what did you name your baby boy? What did you name your son?" And then Imam Ali replies to him, he says, "Ya Rasulullah, I have not named this boy. I wanted to wait for you to honor us to name Imam Al-Hassan, to name this baby boy." And then Rasulullah, he replies to him. You know what Rasulullah says? He says, "Ya Ali, I will not name him as well. I want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to name this boy." So Jibreel alayhi salam, he comes down. He tells Rasulullah, Allah has ordered us to name this boy Al-Hassan. And back then there was no one named Hassan. Not like now, mashallah, there's millions of people named Al-Hassan. There's someone in the crowd named Hassan as well here tonight. But before then there was no one named Hassan. This was it was an extinct name. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He named who? Our second Imam. How beautiful is this? How much of an honor is this? Like for example, my grandmother, she named me. And I take that with a lot of honor. and pride because I'm unique. You know, I'm the first boy to be named by my grandmother, not my parents. But imagine Imam Al-Hassan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the worlds, the creator of everything. He is the one that has named this boy. Right after his birth, his importance is shown to all the Muslims. And then now, we move to when he became a young boy during his young childhood. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would always show importance to his companions and to the Muslims about Imam Al-Hassan. And I will give you a couple of examples, inshallah. The first of examples is Imam Al-Hassan alayhi salam. He was entering the mosque. And you know how when we're young, our parents, they give us a shirt or clothes that are oversized. They say, look, you're going to grow into it, so we're going to get you a shirt that's a bit oversized. So this was the case with the Imam. So he entered the mosque, and because of his oversized shirt, he fell and he tripped. And Rasulullah was sitting on the minbar, and he was giving a khutbah in the mosque. He stopped his khutbah, he got up, he went down, and he picked up Imam Al-Hassan. And he looked at his companions and he said, I love this boy. And whoever of you loves me must love this boy. And whoever is in attendance and has heard what I have just said, it's an obligation for you to tell everyone that was not in attendance. The Holy Prophet is saying, if you love me, you must love Imam Al-Hassan. And if you've heard this message, whoever hasn't heard this message, you must go and tell them as well. Yeah, in Islam, if you're going to be a good Muslim, if you're going to be a Muslim, you must love Rasulullah, yes? And Rasulullah, if you love him, you must love Imam Al-Hassan. And if you love Imam Al-Hassan, you love Rasulullah, you must love Allah. So without Imam Al-Hassan, without the love for Imam Al-Hassan and Mujtaba, your religion is not complete. This is the words of our Holy Prophet. The second of examples, the Holy Imam, he was a young boy, he was playing on the chest of Rasulullah. You know how sometimes we see babies on the chest of their fathers or something like that, they're playing. So one of the companions, Anas ibn Malik, he came and he tried to pull Imam Al-Hassan away from Rasulullah. I thought he was hurting him. So Rasulullah, he pushed his hand away. He pushed his hand away and he said, no, leave this boy be. His happiness is my happiness. And whoever has hurt this boy has hurt me. Rasulullah is saying, whoever has hurt Rasulullah has hurt, whoever has hurt Imam Al-Hassan has hurt who? Has hurt Rasulullah. So how could your religion be complete? How could you be a good Muslim if you have hurt Imam Al-Hassan? Eventually you're going to hurt Rasulullah. And the third of examples, and I'll just give you one more example. There's many more examples where the Holy Prophet showed importance to our Imam, but for time's sake, I will only give you one more example. The third of which, Imam Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein alayhim as-salam were on the shoulders of Rasulullah. You know how when we see babies on the shoulders of their fathers, and their fathers just walking around with them. So Imam Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein were on the shoulders of Rasulullah. And then one of the companions, he came and he looked at Imam Al-Hassan. He didn't talk to Rasulullah, he looked at Imam Al-Hassan, a young boy. He said, oh, how blessed are you to have such a noble steed? So what he's saying is, how blessed are you to be on the shoulders of Rasulullah? And then the Holy Prophet, he replies to him, he says, no, how blessed am I to have such noble riders? How blessed is Rasulullah to have Imam Al-Hassan and Imam Al-Hussein on his shoulders? This is the words from our Holy Prophet. You see on numerous occasions, the Prophet is showing his companions, the Muslims, the importance of our Imam. He's showing that you must love this Imam. You must not hurt this Imam. Yet, we see a lot of people that we don't know much about him. Or we neglect him. And inshallah, this will all change after tonight. And if this was not enough from the words of Rasulullah, what about the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When Allah, He Himself, in the Holy Quran, the kitab, the book of the Muslims, where Allah has praised and mentioned our Holy Imam. Like again, I'll just give you 2 examples. There's many more examples, but for time's sake, I'll only give you these 2. The first of which, Imam Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein, they fell ill. They got sick. So Rasulullah, he came, he talked to the mother, Fatima al-Zahra. He said, look, when these boys, they get better, when Allah gives them shafa, let them fast for 3 days as a way to show gratitude. Thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these boys, they got better and they began the fasting. The first day came, Salat al-Maghrib came. You know, Salat al-Maghrib comes, we're fasting, we're hungry, we just want to eat. So they're about to break their fast, about to eat. And then a beggar comes. A beggar comes and he's hungry. And he asks them for food. And they didn't have much food, but they gave all the food away to the beggar. Then the second day comes. Salat al-Maghrib as well comes. And then this time an orphan is asking for food. They give away the food. The third day, a prisoner comes and he's hungry and they give away the food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so pleased with their actions that a whole surah came down. Surah Al-Insan. If you open it up and you read it, it shows the actions of what Imam Al-Hassan, Imam Al-Hussein and Fatima al-Zahra alayhim as-salam did. And it shows Allah showing gratitude and showing how pleased He is with them. The second example, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he came home to the house of Fatima and he was tired. And he had a cloak with him. He had a cloak from Yemen, he had the kisa. We've heard of the Ahl al-Kisa, Ashab al-Kisa. This is the story about it. So he looks to his daughter Fatima, he says, look, I'm going to go take a nap. So he goes, takes a nap. And then a couple of minutes later, Imam Al-Hassan, he comes. And he says, oh mother, I smell the sweet fragrance of my grandfather, Rasulullah. She said, yes, he's here. He just came home. So he goes rushing to the room. And he asks his grandfather, he says, oh grandfather, can I join you under the cloak, under the kisa? He says, yes, my boy. Come under the cloak. Then Imam Al-Hussein, he comes. And he asks to be under the cloak. And Rasulullah says, yes, my son. Come under the cloak. Then Imam Ali, he comes and he asks to be under the cloak. And Rasulullah says, yes, you come as well. And then Fatima al-Zahra, she finally comes and says, what about me? I'm the only one that's left. Can I join you under the kisa, under the cloak? And Rasulullah said, yes, come under the cloak. And even one of the wives of the Prophet, Salama, she asked to be under the cloak, but Rasulullah, he replies, he says, sorry, this cloak is reserved for who? For my Ahl al-Bayt. And Salama was a great woman, one of the best wives of the Prophet after Khadija alayhi salam. But he said, these people under the cloak are my Ahl al-Bayt. And then if we open up the Quran, what does the Quran say about the Ahl al-Bayt? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to rid you of any impurities. Ya Ahl al-Bayt. Ahl al-Bayt, you are pure. You are pure. You have no impurities. This is what Allah is saying in His book to the Ahl al-Bayt, to Imam Al-Hassan, to Imam Al-Hussein, to Imam Ali, to Fatima. They are pure. They have no impurities. This is what the Quran says. This is what Allah is saying. So now you see on multiple occasions, with Rasulullah, with Allah, how many times have they been mentioned by them? Have they shown importance by them? Now we move forward to when Imam Al-Hassan alayhi salam became a young adult. When Imam Ali alayhi salam, he received the caliphate, the khilafah, even though he didn't want it, but that's a topic for another day. Imam Al-Hassan was a young boy. By the age of 7, Rasulullah and Fatima al-Zahra passed away. And now we move forward to when Imam Ali receives the khilafah. So as soon as he receives the khilafah, some people were not happy about this. Some people, they were not pleased about this. So they wage a war against who? Against Imam Ali. So the Imam, he needs to raise an army. He needs to defend himself in case war does break out. So he sends 2 of his companions to Kufa. They go to Kufa and they try to get soldiers, they try to get troops to join the army of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. They went, but they failed. 0 people ended up joining, because at that time there was a man, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. He had a very strong hold in Kufa, and he had a lot of hatred towards Imam Ali. He was very much against Imam Ali. So no one joined. So they came back and says, "Yeah, Ali, sorry, we failed. No one has joined your army from Kufa." So Imam Ali, he knew, he was like, look, if I'm going to get some troops to join me, there's only 2 people that can manage this. Either myself or my son, Imam Al-Hassan. Imam Ali had to stay because he had other duties to adhere to in preparations for the war. So he sent his son, Imam Al-Hassan. Imam Al-Hassan, he goes. And Imam Al-Hassan gives one of the most beautiful speeches, one of the most beautiful sermons. And if you want tonight, open up your phone, go on Google, write the sermon, the speech of Imam Al-Hassan in Kufa. When it came to public speaking, Imam Al-Hassan, there was no one close to him. No one came near to him the way that he was able to use his words and his tongue. And from his speech, from 0 people joining the army, 9,000 people ended up joining the army of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then now, we begin. Well, now I ask you a question. If I ask you, who are the bravest people, or who are the strongest warriors? You would tell me who? Imam Al-Hussein, Imam Al-Abbas, Imam Ali, Rasulullah. But if your list does not have Imam Al-Hassan, then you don't know who Imam Al-Hassan was. After Rasulullah and after Imam Ali, Imam Al-Hassan was the bravest of warriors and the bravest of soldiers, and no one came close to him. And this is evident in the Battle of the Camel, in Siffin and Nahrawan. In the Battle of the Camel, Ma'arakat al-Jamal, it's called Battle of the Camel. Why? Because someone was sitting on the camel. So Aisha bint Abu Bakr, Talha and Zubair, they waged a war against Imam Ali. And Imam Ali, he wanted to avoid war, of course. But then they fired the first arrows and they took the first martyrs. So war started. And Aisha, she was sitting on the camel. So Imam Ali, he knew, if I am to end this war, the camel needs to be struck down, because the camel was like their flag, their symbol. If the camel goes down, they're finished, they've lost the war. So Imam Ali, he calls to his son, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. He says, "Ya Muhammad, I want you to go, here's the spear, go, strike down the camel." So he goes, but as he goes to strike down the camel, there's a whole Arabian tribe surrounding the camel. So he couldn't. He couldn't do it. So he comes back and says, "Sorry Dad, I couldn't do it. There was too many people." So he says, "Don't worry my son, I know who can do it." Calls his son, Hassan. "Hassan, here's the spear, go." Imam Al-Hassan, he goes. One by one, the people surrounding the camel were struck down. Anyone that dared come near Imam Al-Hassan was killed. One by one, he killed them. And then he went to the camel and he struck down the camel, and the camel fell. And he goes back to Imam Ali. The spear is filled with blood and the war is finished. So the hero of the battle of the camel, Ma'arakat al-Jamal, was who? Was Imam Al-Hassan. And then now in the battle of Siffin. In the battle of Siffin, Imam Hassan shows his bravery with his tongue and with his sword. Before the battle, the battle of Siffin was Muawiyah versus Imam Ali. One of the commanders, the companions of Muawiyah, he came to Imam Al-Hassan and he said, "Look, leave your dad. We'll make you the Khalifa, we'll make you the leader of the Quraysh, we'll make you the leader of the Arabs. We'll give you as much money as you want, just leave your dad. Your dad, he's the one who's killed our fathers." So Imam Al-Hassan, he replies to him, he says, "My father killed your fathers because your fathers were against Islam. They hated Rasulullah, they hated Allah, and they hated the Quran. That is why they hate my father." So the battle of Siffin, it begins. They knew if they took Imam Al-Hassan out of the equation, they had such a bigger chance of winning. Why? Because Imam Al-Hassan, he himself is like an army. So the battle of Siffin begins. And then there was an alley with 5,000 archers, 5,000 snipers. And the army of Imam Ali, they need to advance, but they couldn't. So Imam Ali goes to his son, Muhammad ibn Hanafiyyah again. He says, "Ya Muhammad, here's a sword, go clear this alley." don't be scared, go. So Muhammad al-Hanafiya, he tries to go and he fails. He comes back to his dad, he says, sorry dad, there's too many. And don't think that Muhammad al-Hanafiya was weak or he was a coward or was not brave. No. It's just when you compare anyone to Ahlul Bayt, they're all going to look weak. They're all going to look not strong. Yes? Because this is the Ahlul Bayt. And when you're asking a task of 5,000 slaves, it's near impossible unless you're what? A member of the Ahlul Bayt. So he says, don't worry, Muhammad. I know who can do this. He gives his sword to his son, Imam Al-Hassan. Imam Al-Hassan goes, 5,000 archers, 5,000 snipers. He does what he does. He clears the alley, and then the army of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib advances. And then after the war, Muhammad al-Hanafiya, you see he's disappointed. He's sad with himself. So Imam Ali goes to him and says, oh my son, don't be sad. Don't be disappointed. You are my son and your mother's son. You have our genetics. While Imam Al-Hassan is the son of Fatima and the son of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he has their genetics. That is why he's able to do things that no one is able to do. And then you see in the Battle of Nahrawan, Imam Al-Hassan in Battle of Nahrawan, in Jamal, in Siffin, he is in the front lines. He's the deepest person in the enemy lines. Normally we see the commanders, the leaders of the army, they sit back. They don't fight because, they're the brains, they have to stay back in case they get killed. No. Imam Al-Hassan, Imam Al-Hussein, the Ahlul Bayt, they were so deep into the enemy lines. And on many occasions, Imam Ali would tell his army, go call back my son, Imam Al-Hassan. He's gone too far. His own father had to hold him back. This was the bravery and this was the courage of our Imam Al-Hassan. On the 19th of Ramadan, we all know what occurred. Imam Ali was struck during the morning prayers, and after a couple of days, he died a martyr. Before he died a martyr, he gathered his family, his Ahlul Bayt. He said to them, the leader after me, the Imam after me is who? Imam Al-Hassan. So news reached to Muawiyah that Ali ibn Abi Talib, he's passed away. He got so happy, Muawiyah, he got so happy. He was so happy that Imam Ali is finally finished. But he didn't know now he has to deal with Imam Al-Hassan. He didn't know this. So he sees that Imam Al-Hassan, the people, he's such a strong man, he's such a strong threat to him. So what does he do? He sends 3 types of spies to Iraq, to Kufa. So he sends one type of spy that would go and just look at what Imam Al-Hassan does. So they know his daily routines, his daily habits. And they would report back to Muawiyah. The second of spies would do what? They would go and they spread misinformation about Imam Al-Hassan. They would make up lies so people leave him. And the third of spies, they would go and they would bribe people. They would give them money. They were like, look, leave Imam Al-Hassan, come join us, we'll give you money, we'll give you whatever you want, just join us. So Muawiyah's army, he grew and it grew and it grew. So he said, this is my time to go and finish off Imam Al-Hassan. So he goes, he marches towards Iraq, and Imam Al-Hassan got the news. So he starts to raise up an army himself. Muawiyah's army was around 80,000, while Imam Al-Hassan was 40,000. It was decreasing. His companions, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, they would come and say, Ya Imam Al-Hassan, under your father, Imam Ali, his khilaf was 6 years, and they were under what? A lot of wars, 3 wars. And this was about to be the 4th war. So he told them, the followers of Imam Al-Hassan, tell him, please, we don't want to go into another war. We're tired. Psychologically, 3 wars in 6 years, you see your family members die, you see people getting killed. It's going to take a toll on you. So they asked him, please avoid war. Now, in Imam Al-Hassan's army, he had Al-Abbas, he had Imam Hussein, Muhammad al-Hanafiya, he had Imam Al-Hassan himself. They could have done miracles, but the people were going to get slaughtered. The people, his followers, were going to get killed. So he left his own needs for the needs of the people. So he devised a peace treaty with Muawiyah. He said, look, you want the Khilafah? I'll give you the Khilafah, but I have some conditions. The conditions of which is what? One, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, you leave them. You don't touch them. You don't kill them. You leave them alone. Second, my father, Imam Ali, you stop cursing him on the pulpits. Muawiyah, they had so much hatred towards Imam Ali that they would curse him on the pulpits, in the adhan, they would curse him. So he said, this cursing stops. And the third condition is, after you die, Muawiyah, the Khilafah goes to my brother, Imam Al-Hassan. So they agree to it. They sign the treaty. Soon after they sign the treaty, what does Muawiyah do? What does Muawiyah do? He starts cursing Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he says, this treaty, I put it under my foot. So Imam Al-Hassan, he said, look, I need to leave Iraq now. I need to leave, or else a war's going to happen and people are going to get killed. So Imam Al-Hassan, he leaves and he goes to Medina. And he spends 9 years in Medina. And during those 9 years, people had bad image of him because of Muawiyah, but they saw the ways of Imam Al-Hassan, they saw his teachings, the way that he would live, the way that he would treat people. So the people were inspired by him. People started to love him. The followers of Ahl al-Bayt, they would grow and grow and grow. He would teach them the proper ways of Islam. Muawiyah, the news came to him and said, man, I just got rid of Imam Al-Hassan and now he's doing problems for me from Medina. I need to sort this out. So what does he do? He sends those spies again. Spies to spread misinformation, spies to bribe people. But the people of Medina, they were like, no, look, this is Imam Al-Hassan, we'll see it with our own eyes. He's such a good person. So Muawiyah, he says, look, I need to get rid of him. So he sends who? He sends one of his companions, Marwan ibn al-Hakam. He sends Marwan ibn al-Hakam to Medina. And Marwan ibn al-Hakam, he goes to one of the wives of Imam Al-Hassan and he says, look, poison him. We'll give you as much money as you want and we'll give you Yazid ibn Muawiyah as your husband after you do this. And you see, not all the wives of the Imam or the prophets are all good. And this is one of the examples. So, one of the wives of Imam Al-Hassan, she poisons him. And then he grows very sick and very ill, and he knew his time was coming. So what does he do? He grabs his Ahl al-Bayt. On his deathbed, he says, after me, the Imamah, the Khilafah goes to, your leader is, who? Imam Al-Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. And I have one request. My request is to be buried next to my grandfather, Rasulullah. So Imam Al-Hassan, he passes away. Imam Al-Hussein and other members of Ahl al-Bayt, they tried to go bury him next to Rasulullah. But Ali was going to get buried there. Aisha bint Abu Bakr, she refused. He said, no, he's not allowed to be buried here. So they turn around and they go where? Jannat al-Baqi'. And he was to be buried there. And while he was getting buried, 70 arrows were shot from Marwan ibn al-Hakam's family and Aisha bint Abu Bakr at Imam Al-Hassan's coffin. Why? Because they had a lot of hatred towards him. And now, 1400 years after the martyrdom of Imam Al-Hassan, his followers and his lovers are increasing. They could spread the misinformation about him. They could show hatred towards him. They could attack us and they could attack him. But the true followers of Islam, the true followers of Ahl al-Bayt, the true lovers of Rasulullah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never leave him. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And before I end, I would just like to request from our brothers and sisters to not forget the martyrs of Parishina in Pakistan. Mashallah, we see a lot of people that are very vocal about our dear brothers and sisters in Palestine, and this is something very good. But please, don't forget your brothers and sisters in Parishina, Pakistan, and in Afghanistan, the Hazara, a couple of days ago, they were targeted as well. So please, don't forget them in your prayers, and don't forget to be vocal about them as well, whether it's an Instagram post or just talking to your friends about them. And may Allah give the victory to those that are oppressed, and may Allah give victory to our mujahideen in the south of Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq and Iran over the oppressors. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.